The game is gone, people. The game continues to leave. But we're going to be speaking about Noa Okafor today and some criticism laid at his doorstep in the defeat against Brighton, where I think we have bigger problems than Noa Okafor. We're also going to get into Sunderland as well, because it's quite relevant to what I'm going to be speaking about today and their point that they picked up against Everton. But before I do get into this, please like the video. It's free to do, helps out the channel. Thank you to Mr. P and Parrot House for the super thanks on the last video. Much appreciated, guys, and all members of the channel. Keep the support coming. You guys make this thing go. Now, before I get into the Noa Okafor stuff, just going to wrap up the whole Premier League match day 10 as it is. We all know where we all stand after 10 games, and Sunderland at this point, after a point against Everton, are in fourth place. Their owners coming out saying that if they're in and around the top 10 come January, they're going to try and consolidate a top 10 finish and everything else like that. They knew they had to move in a different direction this summer when it came to recruitment, which, as we've seen, they've done. Granit Xhaka was immense yet again yesterday and showing exactly what a leader looks like. Listen, I get accused of it a lot on here, talking about Sunderland, more than I should, but they were promoted with us and we were the champions and they came up as playoff winners. So it's relevant to speak about them and the way that they've moved so far. And I even go further into their players after a 1-1 draw at home against established Everton, being disappointed that they didn't get 3 points. And Granit Xhaka said this also, but Enzo Lefebvre also echoed this. We can't be happy with the point because we lost our 3 points in the first 30 minutes. I don't know why we were so bad with the ball. At halftime, Regis Lebris reminded us of our standards and what he expects from us. The second half was our standard, our football. That is what you're supposed to sound like. And for a promoted team to sound like that is refreshing. It really is, because when you have this, what we had after the pitiful performance against Brighton from Daniel Farke saying, at 3-0 down, he felt it was important to show spirit and unity, reacting well. It shows you the differences. And look, this isn't specifically about Daniel Farke in this video, but when you're looking at it again, and even I have to come back and look at myself sometimes and go, maybe I'm letting my standards drop a little bit. We know there's a ceiling with this manager at this football club. The main objective for this football team and the way it's built is to stay up. But we do go into these games like we saw against Brighton and a few other away performances, like we're on the back foot from minute one, and we can't do that all season long. It's important to be defensively sound, but we also need to connect the attack as well. And this is where we get into Noa Okafor. And you saw yesterday, if you didn't see it, go and watch Iliman and Ndiaye's goal. Picked it up from about 40 yards out, dribbled through a few players and put it in the corner. Lovely goal. Lovely goal. You're talking again about a difference maker, especially for Everton, who are in the bottom half of the table. He is definitely one of them. I can see Ndiaye going even further than Everton. I'm sure Everton fans are trying to keep him a secret, but he is a secret no longer. He is a brilliant player. But what I'm talking about there is his drive, the dribbles, and making something happen out of nothing. And that's what we've got, in a sense, on a lower scale, admittedly, in Noa Okafor. Now, I need to say this, because I'm not here as Noa Okafor's attorney. I'm not defending him as if he's being absolutely brilliant in every game. But we all came out, and I'm talking about on my stream, I came out with it, and a lot of you in the chat came out with it and said, this was a poor performance by everybody, from top to bottom, manager, the setup, the whole team. But if there was one shining light who looked like he was going to do something, it was Noa Okafor. Well, Tony DeRigo, who is employed by Leeds United, had a few things to say. And let's get a couple of these things. It has already been reported that Farke was not impressed by Okafor in the first half. The Leeds gaffer had spoken to Gabriel Goodmanson about it, and Tony DeRigo noticed Farke's frustration on Saturday. DeRigo gave a reason for Farke's anger towards Okafor, saying the Switzerland star hadn't been making the runs he was in training. He predicted a dressing down for the £18 million summer signing at half-time. You can see this is what DeRigo said. You can see Daniel Farke having a go at Noa Okafor. The movement just wasn't there. In training, we've worked on it clearly, and now you're not making the movement that Jacobiol needed. I think that will be a halftime team talk for Noa Okafor, in saying what Tony DeRigo said, in noticing what he thought Daniel Farke would do. And previously, we've heard Daniel Farke be asked the question before, do you take the trade-off of Noa Okafor being creative going forward, but maybe losing the ball a few times going back? And Farke said, absolutely not. And I agree to a certain extent. But creative players, people, it's like a dirty word in football today. They're seen as luxury players, where they are the guys that will help you get goals. And Noah Okafor, yeah, he did lose the ball a couple of times. But Noah Okafor was the one that looked like he was going to be our biggest goal threat when he was on the pitch. And when he went off, we replaced him with nothing. And this goes back to my previous videos, or when I spoke about Jack Harrison and me forgetting to even mention him because he's been that irrelevant, that unnoticeable, that I keep forgetting to mention just how needless and pointless he is at the football club. Meanwhile, you've got Noah Okafor, who is actually trying to make things happen. Even he had I don't know if it was in a Brighton game or the game before. Maybe it was the West Ham game. No, it was the West Ham game. Joe Rodon slipped him a ball through. He takes on two players, takes a first time shot. It just goes wide. Similar-ish to what Ndiaye did yesterday, but Ndiaye was successful. The point being, if we've got any chance of getting something with the way that we are currently set up, it's going to be through him. And if Nanto is allowed back in, maybe him. But at this point in time, it's Noah Okafor. And when I look at the criticism for this, it is just the problem with today's game. I'm not going to go through it here. I'm not going to go on a long rant, but I've said before many times, wingers these days, they run, they stop. They don't try and take on the man or cross the ball. What they do is they stop and go back to the defender or in midfield. Fans have been conditioned enough to now where they're a part of the problem as well, where an attacker could be trying to take somebody on or take a long shot, and there's a big groan or sigh when they lose the ball. But somebody could be in their own half, turning around on themselves, pass it back to the goalkeeper, and it gets a warm applause. The way that the game is played now, it's all risk averse because, well, quite frankly, it's a cutthroat business, and managers are getting sacked for poor results. So it's all about defense first. Now, I can accept that, especially for a team that's built like this one that we have. But what I can't accept is when there is a player that is the one that is going to do something, that he's getting criticism like this. And the thing is with Dorigo, he is a Leeds United employee, as we know, so he's kind of a mouthpiece for this. And I don't listen to the Leeds United comms when I watch games. If that is the feed I ever get, I'm listening to something else. Okay, I'm listening to a podcast, I'm listening to music, what have you. I'm not listening to Leeds United propaganda. And that's what Tony Dorigo is kind of essentially. And this take is horrendous. Think about all the other problems we had in that game against Brighton. Let's just isolate the Brighton game alone. Midfielders could not string three passes together. Listen, as much as I talk about Calvert-Lewin not being good enough, there was times where Calvert-Lewin was literally the only one in the Brighton half. No connection to the rest of the players. Defenders standing around as the ball's being cut back. No one picking up a man and just watching balls getting tapped in. There's far bigger problems at the football club and with the way that we're playing in terms of the style as well than Noah Okafor losing the ball once or twice. It's absolutely insane that I'm even talking about this today. And this is what I'm trying to say as well. In the pre-match press conference for the Forest game, if Noah Okafor is brought up, I want to hear Daniel Farke defend Noah Okafor the way that he does for Brendan Aronson, like he's his own kid. Brendan Aronson can literally run around and do absolutely nothing and will get praise for his work rate. What is that doing? What's the difference between that and then Noah Okafor trying to take a couple players on where he's being surrounded by two players now, by the way, and trying to make something happen out of nothing in the way that we're playing? Can you give that some praise? I don't like. Listen, I know what kind of manager we've got at this moment in time, but we're not going to get anywhere with this kind of approach, and especially if Noah Okafor is going to be singled out for not making a run when we've hardly had the ball as well, by the way, in that Brighton game. So he's probably wondering when to run. For me, the criticism is just ridiculous, and it's just an indictment of the current game at this point in time, where it's all safety first, especially at this football club where we know we got to be defense first because we are what we are. But Noah Okafor definitely didn't deserve any singled out criticism when he was literally our shining light in this game. So listen, people, give me your thoughts on anything discussed. Sunderland's ascent to fourth place after 10 games. Yeah. I was bigging up the transfer window too much, apparently, to some, but okay. And also about Noah Okafor. It hasn't been perfect. No. Is he Rafinha? No. But does he deserve to be singled out for criticism when there's other players in this team that are not doing their jobs as well? And Goodmanson as well, by the way, was at fault for 2 goals. Hardly seen anything about that. But there we go. Listen, people, that is the video for today. Like the video before you go, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.